Welcome to this deep dive. We're taking a close look today, trying to understand what really makes certain options stand out when you're thinking about your financial future.
Exactly. And today we're digging into Augusta Precious Metals.
Right, and we're using an analysis from Doug Young as our guide here.
Yeah.
He's got, what, over 20 years in financial investing?
Yeah, quite a bit of experience. His piece is called What Makes Augusta Precious Metals Stand Out? And that's basically our roadmap for this discussion.
Okay, so the mission today.
Well, we want to pull out the key things, the differentiators that Doug Young points out. Why might Augusta be noteworthy if you're considering precious metals IRAs or maybe just investing in gold and silver directly?
And we'll be looking at things like their reputation, the process, education.
Exactly. Reputation, how easy they make the process, their focus on education, pricing always important, and of course security, all the crucial stuff.
Got it. So let's jump right in with reputation. Doug Young's analysis points out something, well, pretty striking. Zero complaints at the Better Business Bureau and the Business Consumer Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
In this kind of industry, how significant is that, really? Is that common?
Well, it's definitely not common. You see, in financial services, keeping a completely clean slate with both the BBB and the BCA, that's quite something. Doug Young suggests it's not just luck. It probably points to, a really strong customer-first culture.
Right. Proactively handling issues before they even become formal complaints.
Exactly. These organizations are where people go when they have problems, so having zero complaints there, it suggests a serious commitment.
And it's not just about avoiding the bad stuff. They seem to have picked up quite a few awards, too. Money Magazine called them Best Overall Gold IRA Company in 23 and 24.
That's right. 2 years running.
What do you think gets them that kind of top ranking?
Well, if you think about awards like Best Overall, they usually look at the whole picture, right? It's not just one thing. It's likely a mix of factors: customer service, how easy the process is, the educational resources they offer, maybe pricing transparency, the whole customer experience.
So a combination of things.
Yeah, and Doug Young's analysis seems to line up with that. It suggests Augusta performs well across the board. Getting it 2 years in a row also suggests, consistency. They're not just a flash in the pan.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk process. For someone maybe just dipping their toes into gold or silver IRAs, it can seem complex, maybe a bit overwhelming.
For sure.
Doug Young highlights Augusta's simplified process, especially for beginners. Can you kind of walk us through what makes it more accessible?
Sure. What the analysis emphasizes is a very guided experience. It seems designed to cut through the usual complexity. It starts simply just reaching out to their team. Then, importantly, there are educational sessions before you commit any money. They want you to understand what you're doing.
Okay, that sounds good.
Then they help you actually open the self-directed IRA. That's the special account type you need for physical metals. And from there, they guide you in picking the metals that align with your goals and then handle the actual purchase and, crucially, the secure storage part.
So kind of holding your hand through it?
Pretty much, yeah. That's how it's presented. And that can be really appealing if you're new to this whole area.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
You mentioned the education part up front. Doug Young talks about free one-on-one web conferences. What's the real benefit there, beyond just getting some generic info?
That's a good point. It's about personalization, isn't it? Doug Young's analysis suggests these aren't just standard webinars, they're tailored. It's a chance to get your specific questions answered, address your concerns directly with someone who knows their stuff.
Right, not just reading an FAQ page.
Exactly. It moves beyond generic advice to something relevant to your situation, your goals. For a beginner, that can be huge for building confidence, sort of demystifying the whole thing.
And even for experienced investors.
Even then, yeah. It's a chance to maybe discuss more specific strategies or nuances you're thinking about.
Makes sense. Okay, let's shift to the actual metals. Authenticity and quality, obviously critical here. What does Doug Young say about how Augusta ensures this?
Well, the analysis stresses that Augusta gets its bullion, the coins and bars, only from reputable mints.
Okay, reputable mints,
Mm-hmm.
like government mints or well-known private ones.
Exactly. These aren't just any manufacturers. They have really strict standards for purity, weight, authenticity. So sourcing from them acts like a built-in guarantee. It significantly lowers the risk of getting something substandard or worse, counterfeit. It's like buying a trusted brand name.
Right, that mark of origin provides trust. Okay, let's talk money pricing. Everyone wants transparency, but it can be elusive sometimes. How does Augusta handle pricing, according to Doug Young?
Doug Young's report points specifically to Augusta using pricing based on real-time market data.
So tied closely to the spot price.
That's the idea. It minimizes potential markups. And importantly, he also highlights a transparent fee structure, meaning all the costs involved in setting up, maintaining the IRA, any transaction fees, they should all be laid out clearly up front. No nasty surprises later.
That clarity is definitely key for knowing the real cost.
Absolutely.
And in terms of what you can actually buy, what kind of selection do they offer? Does the analysis suggest enough variety for diversification?
Yes, according to the analysis, they offer a decent range. You've got gold and silver, both coins and bullion bars. This variety lets you, as the investor, diversify within your precious metals allocation.
How so?
Well, you might balance risk and reward. For instance, some people like silver because the price per ounce is lower, so you can accumulate more physical quantity. Others might stick mainly to gold for its historical role as a store of value. Having options lets you tailor it.
Gotcha. Okay, you mentioned storage earlier. When you're holding physical assets, security is obviously a huge concern. What does the analysis say about Augusta's storage solutions?
Right, so Doug Young's report mentions Augusta partners with insured third-party storage facilities, depositories.
Third party, meaning not Augusta themselves.
Correct. These are specialized facilities built for securing precious metals. Think high-tech security systems, climate control, that sort of thing. And crucially, they're insured.
Insurance adds another layer of protection.
Definitely. And using independent third-party depositories adds transparency, too. It's verifiable storage separate from the company you bought the metals from.
Knowing your assets are safe like that. Yeah, that brings peace of mind. But what if your situation changes? What if you need to sell some of those metals? What about their buyback policy?
Good question. Doug Young describes Augusta's buyback policy as pretty straightforward and transparent. The aim, apparently, is to offer competitive market rates if you decide to sell your metals back to them.
And the process itself? Easy.
It's designed to be efficient. Often just takes a phone call to start the process. And the analysis specifically notes there aren't hidden fees tied to liquidation.
Okay, so a clear path if you need to liquidate. That's important.
Yeah, liquidity is always a factor to consider.
Doug Young also flags some specific guarantees Augusta offers. Can you tell us a bit more about those?
Sure. The analysis lists a few key ones. There's a 7-day money-back guarantee. So if you have second thoughts right after purchasing, you have a window to reverse it.
Okay, a cooling off period.
Kind of, yeah. Then there's a 100% satisfaction guarantee, which apparently includes an option to switch if you're not happy with their service, though the specifics of switching might need clarification.
Interesting. And the last one?
A highest buyback guarantee. This suggests they're pretty confident they'll offer you a competitive price when you sell back, maybe even the best price among competitors, though the exact terms of that guarantee would be important to understand.
Right. Those guarantees together do seem to show they're trying to build confidence and stand behind their service.
Seems that way, yes. It helps reduce some of the initial friction or worry you might have.
Okay, let's zoom out for a second. Thinking long term, why consider precious metals in the first place? Doug Young touches on this too, right? The historical context.
Yes, he does, and it comes back to their historical role. As Doug Young's analysis points out, gold and silver have often been seen as a store of value, something that holds its purchasing power over long periods, and importantly, a potential hedge against inflation and economic uncertainty.
Like during downturn.
Exactly. Think about the 2008 financial crisis, or more recently, the economic disruption during the COVID-19 pandemic. In times like those, gold often sees increased interest. Investors look for assets perceived as safe havens when stocks or other traditional investments are volatile. Doug Young uses these examples to illustrate that potential role in a diversified portfolio.
Seeing those real-world examples does highlight why people turn to them.
Okay, and just to ground the analysis itself, remind us quickly about Doug Young's background. Sure, as we said at the beginning, he's got over 20 years under his belt, financial investing, commodity trading, and specifically deep experience in precious metals. So his insights are coming from a place of, long-term industry knowledge.
Right. Adds weight to the analysis. Okay, so let's try to wrap this up. Based on Doug Young's perspective, Augusta Precious Metals seems to put a really strong emphasis on the customer.
Yeah, that comes through.
That zero complaint record, the industry awards, they point towards that. Plus, the focus on education, especially for newcomers, and making the IRA process less intimidating.
And the transparency aspect, too, in pricing and storage. the straightforward buyback policy, these all seem to be key pillars highlighted in the report.
And those guarantees we just talked about.
Right. It all paints a picture, according to this analysis, of a company trying to build trust and provide a supportive experience.
A focus on service, education, transparency, and security.
That seems to be the core message from Doug Young's findings, yeah. A consistent approach across different parts of the customer journey.
Okay, so for you listening, as you weigh up the potential place for precious metals in your own financial strategy, maybe think about what factors matter most to you.
That's the key question, isn't it?
Is it that comfort level you get from a strong reputation? Is it needing a really guided, easy process? Or is the absolute security of the physical asset the top priority? Maybe it's that long-term potential as a hedge.
Lots to consider there.
Definitely. These are the kinds of questions to mull over as you explore your options further. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive today.